Would you like to know how much car you can afford? Well, if you finally decided that you would like to buy your first car or you want to make an upgrade, this is something where you need to find an exact answer for this question. Otherwise, you can make one of the biggest financial mistakes in your life, and trust me, it can cost more than you can imagine first. Some cars are amazingly fascinating and they can embody some kind of wealth status symbol, and I think this can be one of the main reasons why most of us like to spend more money on expensive cars even if we don't use them too often. If you think it through logically, cars are only vehicles which can bring you from point A to point B, but somehow we can't simplify cars like this. And honestly, emotions very often can overrule the rationality, and that's why we tend to spend more on cars than what we can afford. And this is the number one reason why we need to have a solid plan before any purchase and find the exact answer for how much car you can afford. Now let's see a 3-step process which will help you to define the car what you can afford for yourself, and I guarantee that this will help you to make the best purchase financial wise. Step 1. Evaluate your savings. Before you jump into the endless sea of new cars or used cars, I highly suggest you to create filters for the search. These kind of filters will help you to spend less time with the searching and exclude all kind of vehicles which are not affordable for you at the moment. Of course, you can still dream about the most luxurious cars, however, this is not your goal at the moment. First of all, it can be a great start if you already have savings which can be used for the down payment. But before you start to spend all of your savings for the mentioned payment, here are the rules. Only look for those cars which you can pay at least 20% of the total value as a down payment. Furthermore, maximum 10% of your total income can be spent on the car maintenance. Here you must include fuel, repairs, other maintenance, parking, installments, car insurances, so nearly everything which can be related to your brand new car. Now let's see how do the numbers look. If you earn $5,000 per month, that means that you can spend maximum $500 per month on your car. Once again, and this amount you must include all kind of costs which are related to your car, including petrol. Regarding the buying price of your car, you can evaluate your savings. This means if you would like to buy a car which costs $10,000, then you need to be able to pay at least $2,000 as the first down payment. Another important takeaway is that these two conditions are working together, so if any of them fail, then it means that you are looking for a car which might not be affordable for you. Lastly, make sure that you won't use up all of your savings regarding a purchase. Even if you have the opportunity to pay 20% as the down payment, I highly recommend you to think twice before spending all of your savings on a car. Certainly, even if you have higher savings amount, the monthly payment indicator will downweight the total value of the car, but if you take my advice, you will probably spend 20% of your total savings as a down payment and not more. For sure, it's even better if you can lower this percentage. So why do I suggest that? Cars cannot be considered as an investment even if sometimes our emotions telling completely different. It still doesn't worth to spend most of our money on something which never be able to bring back money to our pocket. Especially if you only drive a few hours a week, then a highly priced car can be an absolute waste of money. By the end of this tip, sit down and try to evaluate your financial possibilities and figure out the mentioned 2 indicator at the moment. When you have the answer for these questions, move to the second step. Step 2. Look for the most affordable models. Even if you made the right preparation from financial point of view, you can still make a bad deal, especially if you are looking for a used car. In case of used cars, it can be a challenge to evaluate the maintenance cost, which means that sometimes you just need to spend money on petrol. On the other hand, in some cases, you need to repair it nearly every month. And this is exactly what we would like to avoid, therefore it's worth to spend some time on research. Back in the days, my first car was a Ford Focus, but in the beginning I thought that I will buy a Toyota or a Honda. However, during my search process I realized that I cannot afford the mentioned 2 brands, Therefore, I started to look for alternative opportunities, so that's why I ended up buying a Ford Focus. I realized that the comfort level in case of my Ford was even higher than the mentioned Toyota or Honda. Furthermore, these old Ford models were common in my country, therefore the repair costs were way cheaper than in case of the mentioned brands. Take my example and try to pick a car with the previously mentioned details. If you already know that you will probably drive the car most of the time downtown, then there is no reason to look for a model which has high horsepower. Even the cars with the smallest engine can serve you if you spend most of your time in traffic jams. All in all, pay attention to all details and do the necessary research before your final decision. First, don't let your emotions overrule your rationality. Don't look for your dream car. You just need to find a vehicle which can serve you and it is reliable. Secondly, look for models which are common in your country. Therefore, the repair cost can be way cheaper and it will be much more easier to do it. During the whole process, you can't forget that you are looking for a car which is affordable and reliable and you don't want to spend most of your money on it. Step 3. Track car expenses continuously. At this point you already made your purchase and I hope you made a great deal. As I mentioned by the second step, even if we try to pay attention to all the small details, things still can go wrong. Maybe you planned with a certain amount of petrol consumption, but somehow your car uses more than you expected. Maybe you have planned $100 per month on repair costs, but somehow it costs way more. So the main message here that you always need to keep your eye on the car's costs, otherwise it can easily slip out from your financial expectations. And this is exactly what happened with me. As I mentioned already, my first car was a used Ford Focus, which seemed to be a great deal in the beginning. Financial-wise, the first 2 years were absolutely satisfying, as all the costs what I have calculated and expected fit into the financial rules what I set previously. However, in the third year more and more problems occurred and I had to bring my Ford Focus to a car mechanic every single month. After a couple of visits I started to calculate and I realized that only in the third year I spent as much money on the car as in the first and the second year together. And that was the point when I came to the conclusion that financial-wise this is not plannable. And even though I loved my first car, later I had to sell it. So learn from my mistake, and even if you feel that you did the right preparation and you made a great deal, you still need to track all kind of expenses related to your car. After a couple of months you will realize if your expectations are meeting with the reality. If the answer is yes, then everything is on the right path. On the other hand, if the answer is no, then you need to start the whole process once again and look for another car before it consumes too much money from your savings. So that was all for today. I hope these 3 steps will help you to figure out how much car you can afford and make sure that you won't make one of the biggest financial mistakes in your life. If you feel that I missed something, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And see you next time.